Hey, it's Wesley here for Follow Up Genius with my co-host.
I'm Steven Groders.
And we are here with an episode to help you because we know that a lot of the stuff we've been teaching, no one's been doing, right? And
just doesn't get done.
Doesn't get done. Everyone gets busy. You get pulled in one thing, put out this fire, put out that fire, and you just can't find the time to get things done. Does that sound like you? Are you like, I'd love to do that, but
It's called distraction.
Right. Have you done any of the other stuff yet that you've learned?
No, I'm too distracted.
Exactly. So that's what this episode is about. It's about accountability and actually how to get those needle-moving strategies and tasks done so you actually feel like you're moving forward and you're not just essentially running in circles every single freaking week.
Or day, for that matter.
Welcome to the Follow Up Genius Show, a show dedicated to helping real estate agents find their fortune in follow-up by creating stronger relationships, generating more referrals, and converting more leads. Hosted by Wesley Rocha, founder and CEO of LinkU, and Steven Groders, real estate entrepreneur and high-performance coach. Follow us at followupgenius.net.
All right, so like I said, in this episode, it's all about getting things done and accountability. Steven and I have been following up with some of the past listeners and some of our own coaching clients and mastermind people, members, and all that stuff. And the biggest challenge we're finding is just life in general, business things, the normal things in life just are distracting. They catch up with us, and we essentially run out of time during the week to get the important things done.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with one of our friends this morning and clients, and he's like, I didn't get a chance to make all my calls yesterday because I got distracted. And I was like, what did you get distracted with? He says, just everyday stuff. We all get that way. We all have everyday stuff, but if we don't have it time blocked or time boxed, or if it's not really a priority, we just shuffle it off to the back of the line.
Right.
At the end of the day. And it's really common sense practices that we don't practice with common sense.
Right.
And it's accountability and discipline at the end of the day.
And one of the, and how this really ties in is it doesn't matter if you're doing your sales calls, if you're doing follow-up calls, whatever it may be. And follow-up tends to be one of those things that really get pushed down to the bottom because you're so busy with everything else. That's kind of like, that could wait, that could wait, that could wait. So we're like, what can we do to help people to actually get this stuff done? We're actually a few episodes in, 6, 7 episodes in, and a lot of the things from organizing your database and categorizing and inventorying, who should be in your database and how they should be categorized or tagged. We've had people get that stuff done. We've had a lot of people not get anything done. And again, it's just the same thing over and over. So we thought it'd be a good idea. We're going to actually get together. We're going to create something, a group, a call, a weekly kind of accountability club called Weekly Accelerator, which we'll have more information in the upcoming weeks once that's ready to launch. But in kind of leading to that, so what we've done is we've partnered with someone who is a huge advocate for, creating habits and accountability. In fact, and I'll let him kind of tell the story, but he essentially has created something called morninghustlers.com. It's an everyday accountability call that he holds in the morning at 5 a.m. every single day, rain or shine, holidays, weekends, you name it. So
he's got people from all over the world.
On that call.
So like at 5 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, like somebody in China is like 1 o'clock in the morning. They're
something, right?
Morning hustle already.
So we're going to go ahead and bring him on. He could tell you the story, but really he's going to share some of these accountability secrets. He was having we'll get into it later, but let's just bring him on. Let's bring Greg. We actually have him here.
In studio,
in person. Come on. Let's bring him in. We're going to make some room here.
Yep.
All right. Squeeze right in. Awesome.
Welcome, Junie.
Hey, what's going on, group?
Welcome to the community, the Follow Up Genius community. And basically what we're talking about today is
accountability.
Yeah, getting stuff done. So essentially we have spent weeks and trying to educate and help people get their follow-up together and take action And we're finding people just aren't doing that.
Yeah, they're falling a little bit short.
So yesterday, Greg and I were having a conversation. He started asking me some really tough questions. So I thought,
repeat it. I want to hear.
Yeah,
I want to hear this.
So I
kid how he
thought,
stretched
gosh, you know what? We should bring some of these questions to the people in the Follow Up Genius and the group, and just to ask themselves those questions, right? So maybe you remember some of those questions you were asking.
Well, it was just all leading. You start off with one thing, and it was just more so let's see where this goes. I was trying to lead you to a specific point for you to have the realization of what you need to do in order to get the result that you're looking for. I was like, okay, he said this, how can I guide him to this way? And then that's basically what I was doing.
You basically wanted him to see the sign.
What were the, his first question was something about if you had one skill.
Yeah, it was basically if you had one specific skill, it wasn't business, I was just really curious, and then it became a whole thing. But if you could have one specific skill, what would that skill be? And then, as we started to progress, the question that I was looking for was, well, what's one specific habit that you can implement that would really change everything for you?
Right, just
powerful.
One specific habit.
So why don't we ask the people out there, what is one specific habit that you can implement that's life-changing?
Yeah.
That will actually get results?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one for me, because we've had this conversation. The second I took Facebook off of my phone, the second I took ESPN off of my phone, it's amazing how much more you get done, right? It's just one less distraction. And that's a little hack. It's just like eliminate the apps that you look at the most.
Right.
Right? Like I said a couple weeks ago, I'm almost at the point in time I'm going to take Safari off my phone. If I need internet, I'll just hot whatever they call it, hot wire it, and jump on my laptop.
Now he's talking crazy.
You're right. But if your goals are so clearly defined and you find outside distractions keep distracting you, don't you just eliminate the distraction?
Yeah.
Common sense.
So
this should really be the episode on common sense.
So one habit, right? Okay. So I guess that's basically what's happening. It's kind of got me really thinking, what skill, what habit would really change, and if you look at yourself, what are the things you tend to have issues with? I think mine was, what was mine?
Well, the biggest challenge you have.
I can answer it for him, but go ahead.
Yeah, the biggest challenge you have is reactivity,
That's right.
You need to have more control over your days. It happens where, we're putting out fires. Everybody goes through this as a business owner, right? And sometimes it feels like we're not in control of our day. But by simply implementing something like a meditation practice, or maybe even waking up earlier, 30 minutes, an hour earlier, to where you can really plan out your day and be very intentional on exactly what you need to accomplish. And when you're going to do that, if you go into your days like that, it's like the Pareto principle, right? 20% of things you do is going to bring in 80% of your results.
Absolutely.
Right. So that was what it was, right? So it was about the reactivity, and my brain just doesn't shut off. It's just going a million miles a minute. It's got ideas, shiny objects spitting out all the time. You get distracted. You want to do this. You need to do that. Maybe you need to organize your database, but there's this thing, and there's this other ad, or this Facebook trick, or this whatever, and you get distracted. And there's so many things, right? So it's kind of back to the basics. And essentially, I think it came down to maybe establishing some kind of maybe 15 to 30 minute morning meditation. And Tony Robbins teaches hour of power, that kind of thing. But even if it's 15 to 30 minutes, and I'm thinking there's no way, I got to wake up, I got to get my kids ready, and, I go to bed late and all this stuff. Well, last week or a couple weeks ago at a closing table event, the mastermind, Sharon was talking about was talking about these REM cycles and how he kind of figured out that, not necessarily a hack, but that strategy where you figure out where your cycles are, and as long as you time out your cycles when you if you have to wake up at 7, then you can adjust when you go to bed. If you missed your deadline, then you wait to the next essentially period, and then you go to bed. That way you always time out your REM cycle. And I thought, that's, I really have a hard time waking up, and I don't want to wake up where it's tough for me. I want it to become easy for me. So I was like, well, I'll just get like a sleep tracker or something, or I've been meaning to get a
Fitbit.
Galaxy Watch or something like that where I could track the sleep. And so I ordered it last night.
Let's go.
It'll be here tomorrow, and I'm going to do that and get that, plan out the day, get that, really what do I want to accomplish today? So it's just, that's one habit, right? That's one habit I think for me that would work. Maybe that might work for you. And then we think about business. What's one habit in business? Well, I think the one habit in business, aside from the meditation, just getting in the right state, is going to be just planning what are the 3 big things I want to get done today, that if I know there's going to be fires with this going to happen, that's going to happen, but at least if I got 1 to 2 of these things done, that I would feel like, wow, I actually made progress on something important. Maybe that's follow up with 3 of the most your A-list people or something, or maybe that's do some kind of I don't know, whatever, something you're trying to learn, or
prospecting.
Yeah, prospecting.
A lot
something.
of people time block.
Right.
But they time block and you go to their calendars blank. Why don't you fill that box up or that block up with, okay, I got to do this, this, and this, and this in this hour.
So more specific.
More specific. And that goes back to pre-planning your day. It's funny, Wes, we're involved in a lot of different types of businesses, just not real estate. And it seems everybody's got the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
I was referred to we'll call it a granite countertop place, manufacturer. And I asked the guy, what's your number 1 skill? I put out fires all day. I am the best fireman that there is. And then I asked him, what's your biggest weakness? And he's like, well, systems and procedures. I suck at organization. But don't the 2 correlate with one another? Because he's got such a crappy system on the front end, he's always fixing the problem on the back end. Hence, he can't work on anything in the future because he's so tied up fixing up the mess that he created to begin with. You hear us talk about McDonald's Red Book all the time. For goodness gracious, it's a $1 trillion industry ran by kids. Why? It's because of the systems and procedures they put in place. And it goes back to what, like you getting up. It's just putting a system in place to get up. Try 10 minutes earlier. The next week, try 15 minutes earlier. As you guys know, I get up at 4:45 almost every single day by habit. I was on the East Coast last week. I get into the East Coast at 11 p.m., which is 8 o'clock our time. I get to my hotel. I crash. What time do you think I woke up?
1:30?
4:30. Actually, it was 1:30 California time. But then I threw my stuff on. I went for a run. It was cold. But it's just a habit I started a while back.
Right, so you implemented that habit, wake up, go run, even though you didn't want to.
I didn't want to.
Brings us to, how did Morning Hustlers start?
Yeah, so one thing I know, and we hear this from many successful people, is you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. The thing is, where I live, there's not too many people who are really investing into themselves and are working towards living a better life and want the best outcomes for themselves. So one day, I'm in hot yoga, and I'm just asking the question with so much intensity, where can I find people who are like me? And how can I be around them all the time? And then I went through the list, I can't, Meetup, I can't find anything on Meetup, there's nothing. And then I thought, you know what? Just create something yourself. So what I did was I reached out to 5 of my most, dedicated people that I knew, and we set up a weekly accountability thing. And then I went to this event. It was a car event. Well, California Association of Realtors event in California, obviously. And there's a guy, Sharon, again, shout out to Sharon. He was on stage and he was talking about how he has a 5 a.m. call. And I was like, you know what? I get so much done when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I love starting my days off. And there's been so many different times in my life where I would start and I'd be motivated and I'll go to the gym maybe 3-4 times. And then I would stop waking up early. So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to join this call, and then that's going to make it easier for me to wake up at 5 o'clock. I joined this call, and I thought, it's still too easy for me to not make this. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to create my own. So I put it on Instagram. Hey, putting accountability call, 5 a.m. every single day, 7 days a week. If I But if I am the host of this meeting, I can never miss.
Right?
Isn't it amazing what happens when what you'll do for others than you do for yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's you made that commitment for others just as importantly as you did it for yourself. Then you just became your own accountability partner. It seems to be that's the buzzword this year. Accountability, accountability, accountability. Doesn't it go back to discipline too?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Right? I was having this conversation with a family member. It's like, I asked him, so what are you going to do for school next year? Well, I'm going to be playing football. Oh, you are? Are you in the gym every morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock working out? And he looked at me cross-eyed. What are you doing for your health? Nutrition. What are you doing to maintain your speed? Oh, I'll be all right. He was relying on natural talent, not work ethic, right? What happened out here? We just lost a great human being. What I learned the most from Kobe is his work ethic. You just can't. Talent can be replaced with hard work, and we seem to forget that.
Yeah, or you can have a talent, but without adding. But when you combine talent with
And
work
hard
ethic,
work.
you create magical results as
time.
opposed to good results. Or he was decent, and there's been plenty of people who have proven that. I think over the
Absolutely.
years in the NFL, NBA,
Hall of Fame's
real
not full of
estate
slackers.
agents, business owners, you name it, right?
Right.
Yeah, and people are. This is something I really learned. People are always looking for something easy. Oh, I want the easy, quick fix. But the thing is, excellence takes time. And there's this book. It's actually my favorite book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Darren Hardy is a publisher for Success Magazine. Tony Robbins wrote the foreword, and he said, we've been just fed all this stuff like, oh, easy, quick abs, quick this, easy this, and then we're looking for something to do with it takes very minimal effort. But success actually comes from taking seemingly insignificant actions like meditation, like waking up earlier, every single day consistently over a long period of time. Now, we may not see results in 6 months, we may not even see big results in a year, but give it 18 months, give it 3 years. A lot of people don't want to play the long game, but you know what's good about that is that only takes 1 or 2 agents to implement that, to understand most of my competition is not doing this. If I am the one, I am going to have so much results compared to them, because most people don't want to put in the work.
They don't. It
That's
was really
exactly
cool. KW, they just had their big family reunion, and one of our clients sent me a photo. I was like, check this out. They had her on the wall. Like, what do you attribute that to? She said, I just work my ass off. And then everything else came naturally. I was talking to Javier this morning. Hi, Javier. You shouldn't say people's names. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Plain and simple. You've been gone for so many weeks. Just go back to work, right? It's like the farmer. Put the
Right.
seed in the field,
Right.
cultivate it. It still takes work at the end of the day.
Exactly. So with that call then, and that's what we kind of thought, hey, let's create something for entrepreneurs. The Weekly Accelerator, which you're going to be joining us on creating. We're going to have a whole group and everything. We're going to have invite everyone from Follow Up Genius in there for free as well. But then you also have your call, which anyone's welcome to join. So maybe check it out, morninghustlers.com. It's free. The call is free to join. Maybe check out a few and see if you can get yourself up in the morning, or if you're on Eastern, makes it a little easier on you.
Eastern time, right? Yeah. I enjoyed that.
5
last
a.m.
week.
Pacific.
Yeah, and you're around other ambitious people. You're around people who just care so deeply about creating just the best outcomes for themselves, and it holds you to a higher standard. It makes you show up and think, you know what? These people are showing up every single day. I need to make sure that I'm really planning out my day. I'm getting the most out of my days. I'm not reactive. I'm going in with so much intention. And you know what? I win every single day. And as long as I can just keep putting that in, over time, there's going to be tremendous results that are reaped from this.
Right.
And rewards too at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know.
I like
What
that.
do you think?
One win a day.
Exactly.
If you can get one win a day, not a lost day. Lost days are like, you get home, you're tired, you're like, of course you did stuff. You were busy all day, but when it comes to growth, it's like, man, what did I get done today? Like, I
Right.
didn't really get anything done. Well, and I think I'm a victim of this as well. and that's this week. Gosh, what did I do this week? Like I have this thing I'm working toward. I wanted to make this amount of money, or I wanted to close this many transactions, or prospect this many people, or follow up with this or that, whatever. And a week goes by and you're like, gosh, I really didn't do it. A month goes by, same thing. I got one thing, maybe two, but you didn't really go. What really hurts is, and I think it really points out like on your birthday or other annual events where they're like, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? What's new with you? And a year has gone by, and that's kind of a checkpoint and a self gut check is like, same old thing, same old thing, same old place, same old thing, and that is that's the hardest and sometimes the saddest part, because that brings in a lot of feelings.
When we do our one-on-one calls, we always first thing we always do is we celebrate 2 victories and let's talk about something we have to work on. It's amazing how fast they want to go to work on something prior to celebrating the victories.
Yeah, and if I may, I feel like I just hit the surface level, but I want to talk about implementation. How can somebody really do this?
Absolutely.
Right? And what it all comes down to is being crystal clear on exactly what you want to accomplish. Like, you have your goals written out. Like, I want to make this amount of money this year. I want these kind of relationships with my family. I want these kind of relationships with my business partners. This is exactly what I want. It's laid out, and you have to really revisit that. I'd say every day. I write down my goals every single day. No exception.
You should do it by memory at this point in time. I mean, we're almost into
it's reminding
first
yourself,
quarter.
right?
Yeah.
It's the repetition. So you know, and as you make decisions throughout the day, and as you are getting distracted, if you know what your goals were that morning, this shiny object, this thing, this has nothing to do with this goal I wrote down this morning, and it
100%.
keeps you disciplined.
Yeah, so you have to know what your long-term goals are, and then what I do is I think, okay, what are 3 things I can do today that's going to move me closer to those goals? So as long as, and I write it down, I make sure that I have my accountability call with my morning hustlers, and we have a group chat, and I take a screenshot like, all right, I did this, and this, or I didn't do this, and it feels so terrible when I don't get something done that I said I was going to do, and you're like, okay, I got to make sure I bounce back today. But also, it comes down to just making the full commitment. Like, go all in. Just tell yourself, okay, like, this is enough. I have to figure out a way to finally do exactly what I said I was going to do, and you have to connect with that why. Remind yourself of that why every single day, because there's days where you're going to feel lazy, right? But our emotions aren't our friend. We gotta, in those moments, you have to implement discipline, and the best way to implement that discipline is if we know exactly what we're working towards, and you feel so much better afterwards. Like, all right, like, I still won the day, even though I don't feel good. At least I made progress, and I can feel good about that.
Absolutely. That's where action kills the pain. If you know anything about business, every top CEO in the country, or in the world for that matter, is very healthy. Why is that? Action kills the pain. It's a great way to relieve stress. The biggest problem, I think, with a lot of people in business today, they're scared to make that commitment to themselves, right? Do you know the true definition of commitment? It's a plate of ham and eggs. The chicken was involved. The pig was committed. Big difference. That's the definition of commitment. That pig was going to do anything in his possible power to get on that plate. Right? We as human beings, we're always looking for the easy way out. What's the easiest way? Smartphones, there's more power in the palm of our hands than any time before.
And there's a difference between easy way out and working smart, working hard, and stuff like that. But there is a trap of, and you see it on the Facebook ads and Instagram ads and this and that. Let me show you one simple trick to do this and that, and that's what sells.
Yeah, take this pill, you lose 50 pounds.
That's what sells, but you have to also be realistic. Yeah, maybe that is a simple trick, and it probably does work, but usually every simple trick and every 3 easy ways to do this and that has some hard work or some execution or implementation behind it. Just know it doesn't come automatic. Having an automated follow-up system isn't going to close deals for you. It's going to give you what you put in. So if you know, and you don't have, it's not equal either. If you put in 10%, you might get 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 results. If you put 100% into it, and you might get 10x results. You know, it just depends. And that goes with lead gen, that goes with follow-up, that goes with using systems or technology. And most times, being the technology myself, you know, we create the ultimate follow-up machine. I have to work that in there. theultimatefollowupmachine.com. But basically, the biggest issue we have is people just getting started, committing, and actually executing the system. Even though they know it'll work and they need to do it, they just don't set aside the time to do it. And hopefully, watching this episode takes some of those people who haven't done it and gets us on that to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The morning is so sacred. Figure out a way to get up earlier. Could be 30 minutes, an hour earlier, or plan out the day before, but there has to be something that's done every single day. Get clear on what that habit is, and that habit could be waking up earlier. As I mentioned earlier, Pareto principle, 20% of the work brings in 80% of the results. I've gotten so much done by waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's just one habit that I implemented. And because of that habit, I now have the habit of visualization, writing down my goals, all these other things. But yeah, get crystal clear. And you know, like Aristotle said, that excellence is a habit. You know, excellence is not an act. It's something, you are what you repeatedly do. Excellence then is not a habit. No, it's not an act, it's a habit.
Yeah, exactly.
I just butcher the heck out of that.
No, I tell my kids all the time and clients, you know, winning is a habit. And unfortunately, so is losing. Pick your poison. You know?
Yeah.
I have a family member who, I'm not even going to bring it up, but I just basically told him, listen, you got to work at something. Look at how hard you work at being homeless. You can do the same amount of work at a job. It's still the same amount of work. Just pick your poison at the end of the day.
True.
It's going to be work.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just really being accountable. Be accountable to yourself. Be accountable to your family. Be accountable to your maker. Just be accountable and back it up with a little bit of hard work at the end of the day.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully everyone takes a lesson from this and you go and say, wow, I need to go write my goals and maybe wake up early or make a plan, whatever works for you. Find something that works. One thing I'm going to add in there too is I was having trouble like weekends because we do this every day, right? And a lot of times we're programmed business. And don't forget, you also have people in your life and relationships and things like that.
You got to have balance, man.
Right. So I still think one realization I had was like, oh, I don't just have to plan my days at work. I can also create intention and plan for my weekend. So Saturday, it doesn't have to be necessarily by the dot, but it could be like, okay, spend time with your son. Make sure to do that. Go do this. Go to the park.
I think
do
that's
this,
important.
Do that.
You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you got to put time in there to spend with your kids. No, I don't. I do it because that's important to me, and I don't want to miss out on anything. And if you're a high-producing professional, your time is the most valuable asset you have. There's nothing wrong with putting in their time for your kids.
Yeah.
I remember when my children were growing up, it was nightly. Pam's like, okay, we got this, and this tomorrow. And we had to write it in our calendar, right? Because we didn't have, the Palm Pilot came out, but the things were junk. We had to write it down. So you knew exactly what you had to do that day. It boils down to communication and commitment, really.
Yeah.
You know?
So either way, it's about committing, scheduling, planning, and then holding yourself accountable for those things.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that is it. Look, keep an eye on the Weekly Accelerator email that will be coming out in the next couple weeks. I encourage you to go check out morninghustlers.com, see if you can, what you think, register. It's free. Even if you don't make the call, at least you get the daily emails to help you get your day started.
Especially if you're a millennial or an older guy like me who needs a little motivation. This young man will do that for you. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So as always, if you want to get the episodes or get any show notes, any special things that we post, get in the group, become a Follow Up Genius member. You can join free at followupgenius.net. become a free member. We'll be in the group posting stuff and whatnot, and keep an eye. Also, we'll post once weekly accelerators available as well. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Remember this: follow up. You follow up fast. Follow through. Follow back around what you told them, then follow them around.
And that's
it's an easy game. Follow-up genius.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Follow-Up Genius Show. Get the show notes and discover our fantastic bonus member-only content when you become a Follow-Up Genius member. Join today free at followupgenius.net. Thanks for tuning in to the Follow-Up Genius Show.